Thank you very much, everybody. Welcome to this workshop. I'll try in this workshop to deliver most of the content in English because of two reasons. First, my co-speaker is, let me introduce Rishabh Java. So again, let me introduce myself again. I'm associate professor of industrial engineering, and Rishabh is a student in the university. We claim that we are pushing the boundaries of the possible. So which means that we're trying to extend whatever we can think. And hopefully over the coming 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, no, 1 hour, I think, we will be hopefully inspire you with a couple of ideas, and as well maybe lead you in some of those tracks for finding the next thing that will make the human in a better position. So I'm glad to see the attendance, the traditional attendance of Tunisia Digital Summit. Allow me, guys, to speak 2 words in Tunisian and French. Mes chers amis, c'est pour moi, ça fait très chaud au cœur pour moi d'être dans cette réunion et de participer avec vous tous dans la réflexion autour d'une Tunisie digitale, mais en particulier aussi l'ère du possible ou l'impossible. En plus de tous les participants de TDS, j'ai le plaisir d'accueillir aussi en parallèle un groupe d'environ 19 professionnels des Émirats Arabes Unis qui participent dans mon cours de Digital Transformation et qui nous ont joints. Je suis en train de les voir maintenant sur la liste de Zoom. La priorité, bien sûr, sera pour le floor à TDS, mais sinon, après, on prendra des questions de chez eux. I will try, again, to have the workshop as interactive if possible. If not, please feel free to ask me any question. So what are we talking about when we're talking about pushing the boundaries of the possible? I am sitting here in the laboratory of human factors and neuroengineering. We claim, I think myself, Rishabh, and all the people that are with me, that we are pushing the boundaries. So if we look at what we're trying to do in this particular lab, we're trying to use as many collaborations as possible. And you'll see that some of those collaborations are awkward, I would say, unusual, inhabitual. So we're using some collaboration with, for example, neuroscientists, with as well computer technologists, with robotics people, with AI experts, with cognitive science, with engineering, mechanical, industrial. We're exploring that collaboration to see the advances in any of those fields for one unique purpose. So in this particular lab, and we'll be able to share it in a little bit, we're amongst others reading all the readings that we can have from the brain, and then pursuing whatever those readings to interact better with the machine, either to control the machine, to move the machine, or to activate the machine, or to stop the machine, or to operate, interact with the machine, read the emotions, get the emotions, etc. Now, don't worry, this is not magic first. This is not as well rocket science. My objective in the coming 50 minutes is to share with you the thinking, and hopefully all of you will have the same type of thinking at the end. Our main objective here in our lab is to pursue human augmentation. So basically pursuing how can we use the machine to complement, to augment the capabilities of human. We believe that this is pushing the boundaries that we talked about. Now, what do I mean with this? Well, that's about enhancing capabilities of humans beyond normal. C'est-à-dire donner aux humains une capacité extraordinaire. And we do that addressing 3 things. The way we sense things, so enhancing sensory capabilities, the touch, the taste, the vision, the not the thinking doesn't fit there. So try to work on the sense. That's the first thing that we're working on. The second thing is enhance cognitive capabilities. The perception, the attention, the memory, the language, visual and spatial processing, anything that we can enhance using technologies. The third thing is enhance action, motor skills, power strength, speed, etc. All those elements that we're working on. This, what you see here, is the framework coming from one of the master students, master research that was defended actually 1 month ago. That's the framework that we are working on. Today, we'll be able to share with you a couple of those things. So, Rishabh, if you can show a little bit what we're trying to do. So we'll connect from another computer. You're connected from there, right? So what I'll invite Rishabh to do, and you'll be able to see it hopefully on the screen.
We need them to give us permission for the.
Yeah, can you please give the other computer that we're connected from here on the Zoom? Or else I'll remove my background. I can remove my background and show you with this camera, but it will be less impressive. So Rishabh, let's use this camera. So this is the setup that we are in. Rishabh, you're on.
Okay, so basically what we've got here is this chain track that we'll be controlling using brain waves.
So he's controlling the track, taking readings from brain waves. You see, guys, what's happening?
Sir, we can't see the camera.
So unfortunately, you cannot see me?
No, sir, we can still see only the slide.
Okay. Afwan, excusez-moi, qui ici, pouvez-vous, s'il vous plaît, nous aider et activer notre caméra pour que les gens nous voient?
Pin the screen on the other camera, on the one that the professor has open.
So let me unshare. Do you see us?
Yeah, now it's fine. Now we can see.
Can you redo it, please, Rishabh? So let me repeat it again, guys. What you will see now, Rishabh is reading brain waves. You see the screen in front of them. As soon as it turns blue, okay.
I'm just trying to focus on the on the ground.
ستريس يعمل بالتونسي. Is it working?
It's working. I'm just not able to focus myself.
So let me tell you what's happening. When he reaches a certain level of concentration, a focus, the car moves. And because of the situation, because of des contretemps, à cause des contretemps qu'il y a eu, vous voyez un peu qu'il n'arrive pas encore à se concentrer comme il faut. Okay.
I guess I'm just being camera.
Okay. Let's. He's too camera conscious, so he cannot touch. So let me invite you here. Just leave it. Come, Rishabh. So l'objectif même de ce workshop, the main objective of the workshop is, I want it to be more or less a conversation between me and Rishabh. So Rishabh, tell me, what were you trying to do in developing this particular tool?
Sure. So this specific project, it started with an idea, with a very simple idea of wanting to control things with my mind, which then led to me doing research on how that would be possible. That would be through learning about EEG and technology that could read those brainwaves.
So,
And
if you allow me, Rishabh.
Yeah.
So guys, let me repeat a little bit what he said, which is the essence of what I want us to discuss. Rishabh wanted, as a dream, as something that he wanted to achieve, to control things with his mind. So he started saying, let me see what can read things from my mind. And the first thing, after researching, that he found was EEG, electroencephalogram. So when you look at the EEG and you think of what is done with EEG, what we get out of the EEG, those are readings. Now the readings will give you the activity of the brain. First point. So then what did you do, Rishabh?
Then the next important step was building a prototype based on all the knowledge acquired, was to convert all those ideas and the research, all the on-paper knowledge into a physical prototype, which started not with the train that they saw, but which started with a mind-controlled drone. So I got my hands in an EEG headset and on a drone, and I made a system where basically when you put on the headset, the drone would fly. Very simple system based on that could be put together in a day, but it was what helped me test the idea.
So let me come back again in the picture a little bit and summarize it, because those are the elements that we are pursuing. And that's a technique. If you guys, if any person in the room is willing to take that step. So reading is one element. Then you need to transport, capture all that reading, translate it, and then translate it into controls or into signals.
Yeah.
So he started experimenting, his idea, he thought, and when he put his hand on the headset that is able to do the EEG reading, he went to the next thing and quickly put it in action, prototyped it, in other words. In technical words, that's a prototype. Now he tried with the drone. At that time, what age were you? He was 15. 15. So at 15, he was playing with the drone and people told him, it's too dangerous for kids, right? Yeah. So people told him, it's too dangerous for kids. Don't take drones.
Yeah.
Then he reverted to the track, to the train.
Yeah.
What's the idea here, guys? As when you are able to break down the problem into elements and you find solutions to the first thing, which is the reading. Let me get the reading and understand what the reading means. Let me then get the transmission of the signal from there, from the reading to the computer, to the machine. Then after that, it doesn't matter. You can apply it to a truck, you can apply it to a drone, you can apply it to anything you want. Anything you want to move, you can control it or move it like that. Now, what's the lesson, the first lesson that I want us to do? If you don't go, transform your idea and get the idea to the next level, it stays as an idea. It's not about the idea. It's about making something out of the idea. It's about making ideas happen. All of us have dreamt of flying one day. All of us have dreamt of moving things one day. When you take the step to either craft it, write it down, or design it, or move it, or make it happen in a prototype, whether you're using Lego, or you're using paper, or you're using 3D setups, or printers, etc. This is the first step to test your idea. Okay? Now, let me ask you, Rishabh, and I know the answer, so let me tickle you a little bit. For what did you develop this setup track or this mind control thing, and what are the possible applications?
Sure. Okay, so this actually, even before having the idea of controlling toys with my mind, a step before that would go back to the problem itself, which was knowing someone who had ADHD. So a very close friend of mine had a learning disorder called ADHD, because of which she was not able to focus in class at all. And so her parents used to regularly take her to a doctor who would give her exercises and medicines for her problem. Now, the problem with these medicines is that they have side effects, and especially for children, they've not been adequately studied. So, because of her medicine, she was in the hospital for 3 months, which actually at like a young age was quite troublesome. And so I thought the problem ADHD itself can be broken down into simple elements, one of which being lack of focus, lack of ability to pay attention to something for longer than a few seconds. And I thought, let's solve that problem by giving students something to practice their focus, by giving them something to visualize their concentration.
Excellent.
And that is how this came
So my friend, I'll repeat part of the things in French so that we're always between French and English.
Yeah.
Le problème dont il parle, c'est le manque d'attention de certains enfants. Ça s'appelle ADHD, right? ADHD, Attention Deficit. Donc, il avait une amie qui avait ce problème et elle devait aller à un médecin. Et le médecin lui donnait ou bien des médicaments ou des traitements qui malheureusement avaient beaucoup de side effects. Donc, le départ de l'idée, et c'est là la deuxième leçon que je veux partager avec vous. Le départ de l'idée, c'est un problème, un besoin qu'il a vu. So the start of the journey or the discovery was a need that we discovered, that you saw in somebody, was a dream that we had, was a vision that we have. It doesn't matter where we start. Now, of course, the pursuit of all this went through all kinds of investigation. For example, the attention span of a human, yani la durée d'attention d'une personne, et deuxième, après celle du poisson rouge. That's second to the fish, right? We call fish. So our attention span is 9 seconds, while the fish is 8 seconds, right?
No. We are 8 seconds, so the average attention of a human is 8 seconds, while that of a goldfish is 9 seconds.
Oh, they're better than us.
They're better than us. Yes.
Vous voyez de quoi on parle là. C'est le poisson en fait qui a une meilleure performance que nous, les humains. Ceci étant dit, maintenant on part d'une observation, d'un problème ou d'un rêve ou d'une opportunité. D'où vient l'opportunité? Elle vient du digital, par exemple. Elle vient des avancements de la science. Elle vient d'une découverte. Elle vient d'une capacité, une nouvelle capacité qui nous arrive. C'est pas important où on part. Ce qui est important, c'est ce qu'on en fait. It doesn't matter where we start. We can start from a technological advance, or a digital transformation, or digital capability, or another capability. And then it doesn't matter where we start. What's important is to go to the next step, move to the next step. Now, the interesting thing is Rishabh has not only done mind control before he joined the university. By the way, Rishabh is finishing his first year of industrial engineering. So basically, he was a freshman. He was before being a freshman that is there. So Rishabh is doing a lot of other things. Can you share with us who is this guy and what is it and what are you doing with it?
Sure. So this, like the other project, also started with a need. His name is Ferb, by the way. He's a 6 feet tall, completely 3D printed humanoid robot. He right now you're just seeing his head, but he has arms and a body and legs too. But right now we just have his head here, to sort of be a part of the conversation. His eyes have cameras that can, track, follow, recognize faces. He has a jaw, a working mouth with which he can speak in 7 different languages, French being one of them. And you can ask him questions and he respond to you promptly. And if he does not know the answer, he'll learn them too from you.
Professor?
Plus-
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we can't see what he's explaining on. We can just see a picture.
You see the robot?
No, no, no.
Oh,
Your camera is not on.
Oh, let me stop share again.
okay. I think while we are sharing, you're not able to see the our video feed.
Do you see the robot?
Yeah, now we can see it.
Can you represent Ferb?
Yeah.
So Ferb speaks 7 languages, and is able to follow. Don't look at Ferb like this. Ferb is 6 feet tall, more or less 2 meters tall. So it's a full robot with arms that are intelligent. Now, this is not the only robot you build, right,
No.
Rishabh? So how many robots did you build?
4, 3, 4.
So Rishabh has been developing robots as a passion. Let me put myself back so that I'm. Donc, Rishabh, as he says, when he was 7, he saw those when he was very young, right?
Started. I was like a Hindi movie on robots, and that's when I decided that I want to work with robots and build robots, basically.
So he was saying he saw a Hindi movie where he saw robots and he decided to start building robots. Now, this was not his last robot. When was Ferb built?
About 3 years, I think 2 years.
So when he was 14 or 15. And his last robot, I won't show it to you, but it's here as well. And that's a service robot that he built last year when he was confined in COVID-19. What's the message here, guys? Innovation in general is viral. You get it, you keep on getting it, and you keep on pursuing curiosity. Now, most of us adults, we lose that creativity. We lose it because we are looking at things that are difficult, or we lose it because we think of how difficult it could be. So the 3D print, Rishabh has a couple of 3D printers at home. He has all those capabilities. He built them at home, and he's experimenting as a way of life. It becomes his life. So experimentation, creation becomes his way of life. If you don't catch him that early, forget it, because he will have all the hurdles. So now I'll put back the slide and we'll talk to the slide because I want us to continue on the slides. So first message I said, it's not about the idea, it's about making the ideas happen. The second message, Henry Ford, he said at some time, whenever everything seems to be going against you, remember that an airplane takes off thanks to the wind, not against it. So thanks to the wind, because that opposition makes you better. So because of a need, or because of an opportunity that we see, we become creative. All of us, one way or the other, are dreamers. So how do we get to the next level? So you saw 2 opportunities, and I wanted to, actually, Rishabh is animating with me the workshop so that we share with you our trick, his trick and mine as well, and the whole lab. First of all, you don't have to create every single piece of the puzzle, right? You need to discover the pieces that exist potentially somewhere. That's the first message, right? You don't have to recreate completely the ECG, the EEG, or the ECG. Doctors know it more than us. Second thing, the genius is into finding applications to devices that respond to needs. So needs create devices, and then you have the device, you ask yourself, what do I do with it? So let me tell you what we are doing in this lab. So we have some realizations here. We started first saying, if you can conceptually visualize that we can control the machine, the brain can control the machine, conceptually the other way is possible, right? It's possible that the machine starts controlling us. If you want to prove, if you take a massage system, or if you, si vous prenez un défibrillateur, vous pouvez régénérer, envoyer le même message. We can train the brain to do things. So the other way, the machine controlling us, is conceptually possible. It exists as well. So we forbid to us, to ourselves, to go there without a company. Meaning, if I am to start playing with the brain of a person, I need to see if it's morally acceptable, ethically acceptable, technically, medically acceptable. So this is why we teamed up with neuroscientists that are experts, first in reading what's coming from the brain, and experts in what can we do with the brain. That's the first thing. Now, this is very important if you are entering the journey of innovation and creativity, because it's very easy for you to slip on the other side. We have another experiment, we won't show it, because a hand can control a hand, right? But vous mettez une décharge électrique. You're sending a signal, an electrical signal in the hand of the other. If you're not clear about the control, you might kill the other person. We don't want to have that here. So those are the kind of things that we do. That's the first thing. Second thing as well, if you don't have an application of your invention, your creativity, your design, then your design will stay on the roofs, right? So this is why what we're doing now here is seeing the application side. Tremendous impact, as we say, for ADHD, right? Psychologists will need it. Tremendous other applications that we're working on now. 90% of the accidents pre-COVID in Dubai, in Emirates, 90% of the deaths are coming from accidents, car accidents. 90% pre-COVID again of those deaths or those accidents are due to loss of attention. Guess what? Attention, why not use it? And this is why we're experimenting on things, so that how can we alert a person that, by the way, you lost attention, you lost focus. Now we can talk of cars, we can talk of pilots as well. Pilots as well, this situation is the same. So again, once you build blocks, nothing prevents you from taking those building blocks and making another piece, another construction.
Yes.
So other things that Rishabh is looking at is attention, is learning capabilities, is as well, when you think of it, Caesar, for example, when people are lost in consciousness and movement, he's been working on other things as well, like
helping people with dementia and other cognitive impairments. Even old people, as they get older, their brains tend to get inactive. So it was just about developing this technology first and making this product first, and then now diversifying it by finding applications for it in different industries, be it kids with education or even now adults and other cognitive impairments in human augmentation.
So very important point. So let me say it in French so that we're clear. Donc, on conçoit un produit, on voit une utilisation, une application, et après, pourquoi pas le transposer cette application à d'autres domaines. En particulier, il parle de Alzheimer potentiellement, il parle de dementia, il parle de tous les problèmes de la vieillesse ou les problèmes de réhabilitation. C'est ce qu'on a essayé de faire ici. Donc, notre laboratoire ne travaille pas seulement avec le neuroscientist, on est associé avec le laboratoire de neuroscience à New York, à RIT New York, mais aussi avec Johns Hopkins pour le neurosciences, avec un professeur de Johns Hopkins. Mais de l'autre côté aussi, du côté application, on travaille avec des physiothérapeutes, on travaille avec des biomécaniciens, on travaille avec des biologistes, des mécaniciens, de mécanique, de génie mécanique. On travaille avec tous the doctor, the rehab, medical people, so that we're able to see the applications. How can we make the life of people better? Now, for two reasons. We do it for two reasons. First of all, we're not doctors. So we shouldn't allow ourselves as engineers to go in that field without medical supervision. Second thing as well, and my advice to the audience here in the room, we can't be expert in everything. Especially when you go into the digital world. And this is the essence of this workshop and this conference. Once you go in the digital world, you're in a network. And nothing prevents you from crowdsourcing the ideas and crowdsourcing the applications and sharing and leveraging each other's experience and research advancement. Now, this is what is your limit, Rishabh? And guys, again, I'm not trying to experiment with Rishabh, but I want you to experiment the type of mindset that we need to have. What's your limit? What is the thing you cannot do?
You mean with this technology?
This technology or any other technology?
Or like on a personal level? I mean, my limitations, I'm more of a technical person. So getting into industries where I lack expertise, such as finance and more towards like even with this project, like the neuroscience side of things, it's not something that I'm skilled at. And so it would be like a theoretical limitation, you know, because you don't have enough knowledge. So it's about learning enough to explore enough to know.
Exactly. So let me explain a little bit, guys, this message. So it's not about an idea as well. It's not about the product. It's about the skills. And we need to be humble enough to know our boundaries. So how do we do that? First, we know what we can do.
Yeah.
Second, we know more than that, what we can't do. And then nothing prevents that this is what we are doing here. Nothing prevents us to go to neuroscientists and tell them, please guys, we know that this place reads the concentration. So tell me what can I read else? You know more than me. You know the brain more than me. So teaming up with different fields. We tend to be, if we are IT people, to hang out with IT people. That's not the right strategy, guys. Yes, you need to hang out with IT people, but look at the people that will give you the problems. If all the problems you're solving are IT problems, you won't be solving things. If all the problems you're solving are HR problems, then most probably you won't be able to solve IT problems, right? So hang out with multidisciplinary people, and that's very important. So again, let me continue on this. It is about innovation in general, is about the need, not necessarily what you want. It's not about what I like to do. It might start with that, but to get it right, it's about the need. If you're able, one way or the other, to understand the need, to find the need, then you'll see that you'll be superior in terms of executing on that and finding the solution to that need.
If I were to just add to that, what is important for anyone in any leadership role or anyone trying to innovate is that they're able to predict what people need. Because as unfortunate as it is, most of us think that we know what we need, and in reality, we only know what we actually want, not our needs. And so, to actually do well in innovation, it is up to us to be able to predict someone's needs and, in fact, even their wants, but thinking of it from like a future perspective.
Exactly. Excellent. So this is actually a second message that we're talking, and we have to be more worried, more excited about the need, the question, more than the technology that we discovered. So the question is, yes, I have this beautiful, nice technology. What do I do from it? And this is where it all starts. So first, curiosity, then the will to move, then the will to discover the other. Where do best ideas come from? Where do your best ideas come from? I understand that one came from a movie. Yeah. What else?
I mean, I think ideas, especially to me, come when I'm least looking for them. You know, so if I'm just going to sit down in front of a piece of paper and say, I want ideas, in most cases, you're not going to get ideas like that. I have my best ideas in the shower, actually. So while I'm taking a shower, yeah, because that's when you're least voluntarily thinking about your ideas, and that's why you're giving your brain the creative space to just think about anything it wants. And when you're doing that, your brain is putting together random pieces of information into a final product that's actually creative and did not exist as prior knowledge in your brain. And that new product that it's come up with from all the prior knowledge is actually a new idea. It's what is like the creative product of the brain.
Exactly. So guys, let me say, I was not expecting that cliche answer that the best idea comes in the shower, but that's true.
It's true.
The reason he justified it, because when we are looking for ideas, seeking ideas, we tend to be tight and most probably too stressed to be able to generate an idea if we sit in front of a pen and a paper. So relax. Ideas can come from anywhere. As long as we have our eyes open and we have our brain open to listening to those ideas, to see those ideas come. Technically, if I had much more time, I will go with an exercise where we will start actually with the very, very lousy idea. And I will show you how we transform it from being a very bad idea all the way to making something out of it. It's not about the idea, it's about what we make out of the idea.
Yeah.
Rishabh, last week, I think you animated a workshop with 120 kids, right? Something like that. 120 high school students, where he showed them how to start with a very, 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 very bad idea. Yeah. The stupidest, the craziest, the wildest idea. And as he was animating the workshop, so after that, there is a process to go through. After he was animating, while he was animating the workshop, he was actually thrilled by looking at the creativity come out. And you don't know what's coming about out of that.
Yeah. Professor, maybe we can point out the exercise to them. So maybe not during the workshop, but after it, they can actually use it as a tool to come up with better ideas themselves.
Can you
Sure.
share it with them?
So this is obviously this was an activity we did with really young students from high school, but it is something that's relevant to everyone irrespective of your age or experience. And it's a very simple and kind of silly exercise. So all you've got to do is sit with a pen and a pencil and think of the worst possible idea that you can think of. Like it has, obviously it's going to be you in your personal space, so there's no one judging you. Whatever you think is the silliest thing that you can come up with. One of the examples last time was a kid who had covered his thumb with white paint, basically. And he took a picture of that and he said, "This is my bad idea." And then challenge yourself after like 10 or 15 minutes of giving yourself a break to think of a practical application for that idea. So another example was this kid that had just drawn this pyramid, and he said, "I'm going to make a plastic pyramid, transparent plastic pyramid." That was his idea. He had not thought of any practical application for it. But then we gave the same idea to another kid who said this plastic pyramid can be used as a holographic display for people giving TED Talks or presentations. As they tend to forget their lines, they can use this as a guide to remember what they're supposed to say. So an exercise that you can try doing is start with a blank piece of paper, draw out your most stupidest idea, silliest thing with no application. And then after some time, try to come up with an actual application for that idea. Think of how you'd sell it or how you'd make value out of it. And by doing this, firstly, you would break the kind of chains that have been put onto you that prevents you from coming up with ideas at all. Things that have stopped you from being creative. You'll slowly start breaking those chains, because creativity is like a muscle. The more you're going to exercise it, the better you're going to get at it. And that's going to apply in everything else that you're doing as well. So start by doing an exercise like this, where you're coming up with silly ideas and then thinking of practical applications for it. Because then next time you'll be able to start with a need, start with a practical application, and come up with an idea for it. So start in the reverse process with something silly, so that you're later able to reverse the process for yourself.
Thank you, Rishabh.
Yeah.
So I don't have to speak, right? The first time I saw this exercise happen was in Stanford in 2017 or 18. And ever since, we animated tens of workshops like that. Every time I get surprised with the creativity that comes up. To Rishabh's point, we tend to stiffen. On se raidit quand on vieillit. Donc, our brain stops practicing being agile. So the best way to get people to be agile is to get them out of the comfort zone. When you have an audience, like the audience I have here, smart people, and I tell them, find a bad idea, they have a tough time with that. They don't know, because they are used with always thinking smart, interesting, not stupid, dumb, dull. So when we force them out of their comfort zone, and then after that, we take that idea and we can give it to another person. Now think about that idea, find a good use. Then suddenly they are forcing themselves that acrobacy that makes their muscle work and improve. And this is exactly the essence of what we are talking about. So ideas, the message can come from anywhere, physically and even mentally. It can come from a good idea, it can come from a bad idea, it can come from the shower, it can come from the office, it can come from observing things. Let me skip this. Let me remind you something. The challenge these days, the challenge of the 21st century is not coming up with inventions. It's coming up with inventions that are applicable and quick enough, meaning like the first Apple iPod, 8 months from concept to market. In Zara, they have 2 weeks to go from concept to market. So now the world is accelerating, and this is why innovation, we cannot stop and work at the time of the electrical car. No, the electrical car is coming back. At the steam car, 19th century. We are at the speed of digital. We are at the speed of light, faster than light, by the way, sometimes. So we're trying to be the light. So this is why you need to have a systematic way to move all the way from the idea, from the need, all the way to the concept. Need to be careful with technologists, and most of the people in the room are technologists. Yeah. The best solution sometimes is not technological. There is nothing technological about escaping from a submarine that is locked. So you need to be open, humble, open-minded, humble as well, meaning that the solution might be closer than you think. Guys, the tendency now, the trend now, is that we don't say think out of the box. That's old. The real trend now is thinking that there is no box at all. No box, neither out or in. I look everywhere. And everywhere means as simple as discussions, as movie that I see, as a something that inspires me. It takes that we inspire.
Yeah, if I were to just add to that about thinking inside the box or outside the box, if we had the Apple iPod on the previous screen, and to just add, the reason Apple is one of the most innovative companies in the world today is because of their way of thinking. Because when most companies look at a problem, they think about how they can solve it quickly and how they can solve it better. So let's use an analogy here. So think of a hill. Now, if the challenge is to get to the top of the hill, all companies would be thinking about how you can get to the hill, to the highest point fastest, how you can optimize that process. But Apple as a company, on the other hand, will step back and they will look, why are we even climbing the hill in the first place? And in the process, they might end up finding a mountain or a bigger hill, which is actually easier to climb, and they're able to get to a much higher point than the previous hill. So while you're coming up with ideas, sometimes the answer lies in either what's simple or just relocating yourself with respect to the problem. So stepping out, looking, changing perspective, and sometimes asking why instead of how.
Absolutely. Yeah. Excellent. So let me continue on this. Yeah. Now, let me go. So not technology. Technology is not always the way. Yeah. I want to share with you this slide. I think you've seen this slide ahead millions times. That's the traditional design thinking process. Let me share a message here, and then after that, we'll open the floor to discussions. You see, first of all, if you don't know the problem you're trying to solve, tous les chemins mènent à Rome, ça veut rien dire, absolument rien dire. C'était juste un slogan démagogique que les Romains mettaient. La réalité, c'est si vous ne connaissez pas la route, vous allez probablement avoir beaucoup de chance d'arriver n'importe où, mais pas à votre destination. So let me repeat it. All the roads mean to Rome, that's a slogan. That's a demagogic slogan thrown by the Romans there. That's not true. So this is why my recommendation is you have a process. You need to have a structured process, a structured way to pursue invention, creation, development of solutions. And the right way to do it is to start with a point and plan it right. If you don't understand the problem, most probably you're solving a problem, another problem. By accident, you might find the right solution. Second thing, observe. So observe the subject, observe the topic, research your topic, do your homework, and then reframe the whole thing. Reframe, what is the question I'm trying to answer? Know what you're doing. So what we're doing in the past, what we've been doing in the past 4 months is actually build the framework to say, well, we want to augment the human. What are the things we want to augment? What are the pieces of the puzzle? So let's work piece by piece. Now let's take the piece, for example, of the brain or brain control or augmenting cognitive capabilities. We're able to read, to make readings from the brain. We're able after that to make use of those readings. So let's now see what can we read more from the brain. Now the next thing might be, I want to augment my vision. I want to see further. I want to see better. By the way, it will be just plain stupid for my friends technologists that we take a robot and the vision of the robot is exactly the same as ours. It doesn't make sense. It's at least it has to be augmented, if not more, it can read. So that's very important. You need to reframe the problem and know what are the things that you're designing for, the design principles, more or less. And then after that, ideate. Ideation. First, you free your mind and you start designing concepts or developing concepts. And then quickly, from the concept, now technology allows us, digital allows us, but other techniques, 3D, big data, you can test very quickly. Simulation techniques, you can prototype very quickly. Rapid prototyping, and you loop if that's not the case. You test the market. The only test that is valid for the market, the only test that is valid for the market is the acceptability, the success, the satisfaction of the need. So I want the last message. Yeah. We'll share it, me and Rishabh, and you'll talk about the most important thing. Pushing the boundaries. We wanted to entertain you today on pushing the boundaries of the possible. Repousser les limites du possible. You can only push the boundaries if you cross the boundaries. What does it mean, crossing the boundaries? Boundaries of competencies. So because I'm an engineer, not allowing myself to go into neurosciences, I need to reach out to neuroscientists to help me. I need to reach out to physiotherapists to help me. Paradigms. I think the limit that we impose to us, to the way of thinking, the sequential thinking, the linear thinking, is actually one of those inhibitors of innovation. So we need to remove the paradigms. No taboos, guys, because taboos would limit your thinking. The fields. So if you define yourself, you're now training for industrial engineering, Rishabh. Yeah. So what fields could you claim that you are doing something from, right, in engineering?
Yeah, I think because I'm doing industrial, I can say I'm working in like the electrical field, the mechanical design field, and I think as a blanket field, I would say as a developer in the development field of technology and engineering.
So my message to the audience that we have in the room, I'm not able to see everybody in the room. If you consider that I'm an engineer, I shouldn't venture in ethics and moral, that's wrong. If you consider that I'm an electrical engineer, I shouldn't start because there is a lot of fabrication, mechanical engineering, that's wrong. If you consider that I'm a mechanical, I'm not into programming and computing, that's wrong. It's not about the competencies that you own, it's the competencies you can tap into or reach. And this is why actually the activities that Rishabh is doing can be labeled in mechatronics easily. They can be labeled in mechanical, they can be labeled in electrical, in computing, in neurosciences, in neuroengineering, you name it. So don't fix, and more the education, and we are in this university trying to impose this kind of thinking. In education, we don't train anymore somebody with a firm discipline. We're training people across disciplines. Egos. You see, guys, in other parts of the world, including in the part that we're speaking to, you rarely see a freshman and a PhD with 25 years of experience sit together and animate this kind of workshop. Guys, I'm talking to the doctors in the room. I'm talking to the doctors of the world. Loosen up. Get over your egos. Kids, get over your egos as well. We know stuff as well with you. See, the idea is cross that boundaries of ego that doesn't allow us to speak about things we don't understand 100%. I can talk about it. I might be wrong. So I need to be humble enough to admit that I don't understand it. The last thing that we want to cross, and we want you to take the message, and I think the fact that we're presenting together, a freshman in the university and a senior professor in the university, is to say, age doesn't count in this race, guys. So know where to recognize the talent. Know that actually when Rishabh is star of this presentation, I'm as well a star with him. So have humility and make sure that you cross the ages, because you don't know where the talent plays. I think we're done, right? Do you have anything else to say?
No, I don't think we can add anything to that. Yeah.
So we're opening to the questions. Any question that anybody would have, please share it with us, and we'll answer it. Let me remove my slides. By the way, my contacts. You see my contacts right are available, and we are in Rochester Institute of Technology.